And I want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon in regards to integrated project management in terms of software. My name is Andrew Rashid. I'm with Alliance Solutions Group. And before we get into the software this afternoon, I want to spend just a few minutes and discuss a little bit about who we are and what we do here at Alliance. We're a consulting group that focuses on the construction and real estate markets. We work on a number of different applications. A few of them are Timberline and Master Builder, and a lot of the people here on the phone have certainly heard of those, but we also work with other applications like digital takeoff solutions such as on-screen takeoff and PlanSwift. And if you're interested in learning about other software solutions that we work with and support, feel free to take a look at our website, www.alliance-sg.com. We pride ourselves on being a locally based firm, and so therefore we have a number of offices throughout Texas, Florida, and California. We have a client base of about 5,000 active customers, and everyone in our group that you will interact with does in fact have industry knowledge and most times real-world experience in the space. What we're going to be talking about today is the advantages of having an integrated project management system with your back office. And one of the ways to best illustrate this, because today we're going to mainly be focusing on this quadrant over here, but what Master Builder brings to the table is a fully integrated solution, beginning with acquiring your customers. So whether you're doing a digital takeoff and an estimate in Excel today, we can leverage our tools and give you the opportunity to go ahead and do that estimate and drive that information over to your procurement and project management side of the house, therefore producing some efficiency gains there. And as you, as a project manager, begin the buyout process, issuing purchase orders and subcontracts and doing things like change orders, those activities benefit the back office by fully integrating into the accounting side. And that allows accounting to better and more accurately code their accounts payable invoices and bill your clients, therefore providing better information and more timely information for the management team to review and identify any issues or good things on your projects. So anyways, we call this the profit cycle. And again, today we're going to be focusing on one segment of it. If you are interested in learning a bit more about the whole application, just reach out to your territory manager and they'll be happy to help you out with that. Some things about working with our clients in terms of having them have success with the software. We do offer a variety of ways to get up to speed on the product, and here's just a quick list of those. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the software today. Again, my name's Andrew, and over on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a little chat box, and if you have questions as I go through this today, I'll encourage you to go ahead and request those questions to be answered, and we'll get them answered for you. Let's close out of this and jump into Master Builder. So what we're looking at here is our new version of Master Builder, and we're really excited about it, version 18. And before we kind of go through the project management workflow, I thought I would just take a few minutes and mention kind of how the application as a whole works from a general perspective. You have a couple of different ways that you can maneuver through the software. Sage has put a lot of effort in terms of ease of use into the product. So whether you're one of those people who like to work with a menu or customize your own menu based on your own activities, we do give you the opportunity to do that, and you can navigate through the software just by using these menu options, very similar to how you do in Windows Explorer. If you're more of a graphical person like myself, you can just go ahead and hide this menu and work with these fully customizable process maps. Each company that acquires Master Builder has the opportunity to manipulate this and how it's organized and actually create shortcuts to frequently used areas of the product. for a way that that is meaningful to your business. In addition to doing these shortcuts, you also have the ability just to go through these menu options as well. So we have done a very good job in making this easy to use application to interface with. In addition to that, security is going to control who can go where and what they can do in the software. So a lot of times when people hear integrated project management, they immediately get concerned because they may not want project managers seeing sensitive financial data on the organization. That is not something that you need to be worried about here with Master Builder. We have very granular security that is going to control where your team can go in the product and what they can do. In terms of reporting, there's a number of different things that we can do in terms of reporting. I'm just going to pull up a job cost report here and just kind of explain how we can do reports because it is pretty unique. And this will be system-wide. So as I go through the presentation today, this will be consistent across the whole software package. All of our reports can print to screen. You'll also notice this magnifying glass. I have the capability to drill into this information and interact with it, and I'll show examples of that as we go through the demo today. So all of our reports can be printed to screen and drilled into the data. We can also drop all of our reports into an Excel spreadsheet. We can drop them into a PDF, and we can even email them right out of the software using Outlook, if that's your preference, or Master Builder's email. It's either one. All I have to do is click this Outlook button, and what will happen is basically it will convert that report or form to a PDF and automatically attach it to an outbound Outlook email so that you can go ahead and send this out if you want right away. Really creates an efficiency there. Lastly, what we can do with reports is schedule them to be auto-run. And this comes in handy a lot on the accounting side. But I essentially can identify how I want this form or report to be driven, either through a printer or through email or fax, the frequency, even the time that it's sent. So again, getting information out of the software, we put a lot of effort behind that, and it's given you a couple of different ways to do that. And again, this is all system-wide, so I'll show some additional examples of that, but I always take a moment to show it on the front end, and we'll touch base on this more as the presentation goes on. Okay, so since we're talking about the integration of project management, what I thought we would do today is just basically go through this workflow I built, describing how we acquire a new job. So we've gotten a new project, and so it's been dropped on our desk. The first thing we're going to do is create the job itself, and we can do that by just double-clicking on this icon here, and it's going to pull up the job screen. I'm just going to bring in a sample project. When we go ahead and enter a job in the system, we have the ability to track a lot of construction-specific information in here, things that we find a lot of clients have to do manually when they're on something like QuickBooks or Peachtree or something like that. First off, we're going to track retainage. So that's always important. Have the capability to go ahead and indicate a percentage for retainage. And if your accounting staff is who records that, they could essentially set this job up. And it's a one-time entry. Once we enter this job, it's available to us throughout the system. We also have the capability to code this job to a particular type of work that you all might do. And again, this is user definable, so you can define this list in a way that makes sense for how you run your business. We have the capability to go ahead and identify all the appropriate contacts that are related to this job. So that gives us one location where we can go and access who are all the contacts on this particular project. And we'll come back to this job screen towards the end and look at these tabs here at the bottom. But what these essentially will do is collect information as you enter it in these various areas and give you the capability to quickly access this information without even having to pull a report. Once we've got this basic information entered, we would just go ahead and save it, and we're ready to go build the budget. Building a budget in Master Builder is very easy to do. First of all, we are compatible with CSI cost code structure, which is nice. This is kind of just an example of the 16 division cost code structure, but of course you could use the current, I think it's 41 division. When we create a budget, our budgets are not only organized by cost code, but also by cost type, giving you the opportunity to break your job cost down a little bit more detailed if you like. And the other thing to mention is that your cost code list, this list you see here, is user definable. So if you're a specialty trade contractor on the phone and you're saying, well, look, we don't do all this work, that's okay. You do have the opportunity to tailor your cost code list in a way that makes sense to how you want a job cost. So essentially what we do is we utilize a pick list and just identify the cost codes that are appropriate for this particular job and what we want to budget for. And we would just insert them into this grid and just indicate the dollars per cost type. And once we're done with that, it's important to understand that we can lock this down using security. So that the only way our PMs can modify this budget moving forward is through a change order. And that really provides a really nice project control. Let's see, we did get a question here. I just want to answer this real quick. Yes, all right. You can set this budget. So by clicking this button here, basically we can go ahead and move these values over to your original tab, which you see here in my sample data. So we can secure your baseline so that you can come back and reflect on it later. Good question. All right, so we've created a job and we've created a budget. Now let's buy out the job. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, we mean subcontracts and POs. And let's start with subcontracts. The benefit of having subcontracts, of course, integrate with the accounting system is the capability to go ahead and manage certificates of insurance. So, when I pick a subcontractor, it's nice that everyone in the company is on the same page and understands if this subcontractor does in fact have expired certificates of insurance. That does allow us to go ahead and identify that. Let's pull up a sample subcontract here and talk a little bit about it. So we're looking at an existing contract record in Master Builder for cyanide stucco. Cyanide stucco has a schedule of values here, and what's really interesting about Master Builder is the fact that from a project management perspective, I just simply code this contract to a job using my drop-down list and to a vendor. It will auto-number the subcontract for me, so I don't have to remember that. And then I just populate these three columns. Now what's going to happen is as things get entered through the rest of the system, it automatically updates these columns. So at any given time that I want to review this record, I can quickly see where we're at on this subcontract. And if I wanted to see it in a summary form, I just simply click the summary button here. And I can quickly see where we're at in terms of approved change orders, the new contract, percent billed, balance due, and look at this, even the retainage. So I saw a question pop up. We do track retainage on our subcontractors also, not just our contract with the client, but also with any subs, and that's indicated right here. Now, if you have a sub that's not performing on a job, we can just hit this lock edit, this hold payment button right here, and that's going to go ahead and tag that when we go to try to pay them in accounts payable. Again, another benefit of having this integrated with your back office. If cyanide stucco is not performing, I just click this hold payment button here and maybe go up and put a note in indicating why. And that will go ahead and give our accounting staff the opportunity to eliminate that from the check run. Another thing we can do system-wide, and this is throughout the software, you'll see this in my upper right-hand corner. I'll just kind of shrink this screen down, this little button here. That's system-wide, and this is the capability to do attachments. So if you have a need to scan and store documents or pictures or emails or whatever, I can go ahead and attach things like a signed document, like this contract, right? So and reference it to that particular record, which really makes it this information even more valuable, because not only now am I looking at just true data, but also supporting information that substantiates anything here if I wanted to. And you'll see that throughout the software. In addition to getting that summary, as things happen in the system, I can get a real-time change order log that is specific to this vendor just by clicking this button. So we can see here that, in fact, there is a change order, and if I wanted to, I could drill into this and see that actual change order if I wanted to. Same thing with the invoices. So, really the moral of the story here is I have more value here than just entering a subcontract. I'm actually able to go ahead and reduce communication with my accounting staff, because I can get information throughout this record. And that's subcontracts. We also can enter POs, and POs are for specifically materials. And purchase orders can be very general, like you see here, or it can be something very detailed, like you see here. Again, we can take advantage of our outbound capabilities here by just emailing this vendor this purchase order that quick. You can see I converted it to a PDF, opened up my Outlook email, just plug in their email address, and it's off to them. So we can communicate this purchase order very quickly to that vendor. We can also, if we needed to, drill into that vendor screen and look at things like, what are all the open POs that I have with this vendor? Maybe we're buying too much from this particular vendor, and we may need to buy from other vendors as well. I can just see a quick list of that, as well as other things. So I have access to information about this vendor without having to even leave the purchase order screen. Again, we're benefiting from that, because the back office, as they enter things, we get to see that, assuming security will let me. So we can go ahead and generate your POs, and you can also associate a purchase order with a job. And why that is important from a reporting perspective is, now that we've got our budget in and we've got our commitments in for subcontracts and POs, we can now generate very valuable reporting like committed cost reporting. And we'll just pull one up here. And I'm just going to kind of walk through this, even though this is sample data. Here's a sample committed cost report. So what we're able to do now is get a true budget plus changes, and actually compare that not only to costs, but to remaining commitments. So we can now see the whole life cycle of this cost code with the capability to drill into and interact with this data. And again, I can go all the way to the source transaction, close out, end up right back where I started. So it's better than just a static report. I can actually interact with this information and investigate why something might be over budget, or why we may not have issued all of our contracts to our subs. In other words, we're undercommitted on the job. Might want to know why that is. But the point is we're now able to report all this information real time as it's being recorded in the system. And from there, what typically can happen, of course, is change orders. So let's talk a little bit about change orders as the job progresses. And there's a couple of different examples I've got here. We're going to talk about this one, which is a change order for a request for an additional column of stucco. It's a client request. The point is we indicate the job. It's going to auto-number the change order for us. And for those of you who are having challenges tracking your potential change orders, we do have the capability to record a change order before it's approved. And we can even track this change order through the life cycle by updating the status if a client's disputing it or if it's under review. But the point is we do have the capability here to go ahead and track this change order through its life cycle. And at this point, a lot of times clients will ask, well, can we record a scope of work, a detailed scope of work for this change order? The answer is we can. We just simply come over here to this prime change. This is the client. I record a basic description. Now, they're not going to see these columns. That's internal. We see it, but they don't. They're only going to see either this column or this column, depending what type of change order it is. And then over to the far right, we have the capability to record a long note, like a scope of work. And if you happen to keep like standard scopes of work available as templates, you can save them as a template and bring them in so you don't have to type them over and over again. Again, that's up to you all. These notes can be spell checked also. Once we've got that recorded, we go over to this tab and we indicate how this change order is or is not going to update my budget and or any subcontractor. So you can see this particular change order is in fact going to increase my budget, and this one is going to be directly impacting a subcontractor. And you can quickly see how everything is fully integrated. It's to this subcontract, it's this particular line item on the subcontract. Here's their change order. So in other words, this might be the third change order for the client, but only the first to the sub. We're coding this to a cost code, so our budget's up to date. So once I save this and mark it approved, we can go ahead now and it simultaneously updates everything we need updated. And we produce a very professional looking change order form out of the box. I'll also mention that for those of you who have contracts that have liquidated damages in them due to delays or whatever, we do indicate on the change order if there's going to be a delay due to the change event. That way when it gets signed off, you have some additional days on the change order. Another thing in terms of the attachments, you'll notice earlier I showed an attachment being an image of a document. But what I alluded to earlier is we can also attach emails. So for example, if I had sent this out via email, like I already demonstrated, and this particular customer prefers to respond via email, I can actually drag and drop their response right into the record where it's safe and backed up and all those things in case we get into a dispute down the road. So not only can you attach actual documents, but you can also attach emails. Clients also ask if we can go ahead and do back charges. We can. So, or perhaps a change order that does not affect the client. So you can leave the owner side blank. You do not need to fill that in. And in fact, you can go in here and, in this case, do a back charge. And if you're going to self-perform the fix, you just will leave the subcontractor empty. And we can also go ahead and attach a picture supporting that back charge if we need it. So anyways, we do have a really nice capability to track that life cycle of the change order. Now from a project management perspective, we also could do a really nice change order log. And the one I like in particular is this aging. I believe it's this one. I'll just pull it up for us. And Any change order that is open, it will actually age it and tell us how old this change request is. And you can filter this change order log by job or by status of change order. So therefore, you're only looking at the change orders you want to look at. But the point is, we do a nice change order log, and we can age those change requests. Let's see, we do have a question. All right. Yes, someone asked if we could do a work in process. Yes, we can. I will show that towards the end of the presentation. But we do a work in process, or what we call a bonding report. And I will show that. Okay, so anyways, that's change order management. So you can see how we're kind of able to hit that whole life cycle. And the nice thing is, as these change orders and subcontracts and purchase orders are all recorded, it all feeds back into accounting. So an example of that is the progress billings. Now, I mention that because a lot of times project managers might, in fact, do progress billings. And that's up to each individual company. But here, I'm going to go ahead and show the menu and just pull that up for you. But for those of you who are project managers and are doing a progress bill or an AIA bill, we do have the capability to go ahead and create a schedule of values. Now, what's really nice about this is you'll notice you do not have to have a schedule of values that is equal to your cost codes. For the developers on the phone, you can do that if you want, but other folks would like to have a schedule of values that's a little bit more summarized than perhaps their budget is, and we can accommodate that. The other thing that's going to happen is change orders will feed right into this from that change order area I was just showing. So one of the benefits, again, of having everything tied together is as a change order is approved and we want to bill it, we don't want to forget about it, I can just come into the progress bill, go to an update, and bring in those approved change orders. And it will automatically bring those in. And updating your percent of complete is as easy as modifying this column, or if when you do your billing you'd rather do it by dollar, you just modify that. Again, it's your choice. We produce a fairly handsome billing. Here's a close 702 form, relatively close. And here's a continuation form. So again, we can draft these billings, send them out to your clients. And whether a project manager does that or a staff accountant does that, in either case, what's important to understand is we can tie those approved change orders right into this. Okay, let's go back into our projects. We also do document control, and there's various things that we can do in this. We can do things such as RFIs. I'm going to show those. RFIs will auto-number, and they do have the capability to produce a professional-looking RFI document. Looks kind of like this. And you do have the opportunity to modify our forms, put your logo up here, add language. We do have a form design tool that will let you do that. And again, because of these attachments, we're able to go ahead and get the response from the architect or whoever and drag that response in here if we wanted. Or if there's those of you who use web-based like FTP sites or something, and I want to go ahead and link to a particular website, you do have the capability to do that. And even like in this case here, I'm linked to SharePoint. I could actually link to SharePoint and still be required to do my security credentials before I even get into it. So, you know, it's pretty nice from that perspective. So you can link to a SharePoint site as well. In addition to the RFIs, the next most popular thing is the daily field reports, and we do have the capability to record these daily field reports. And when we do that, you're not only able to grab which employees were on the job, but also which subcontractors were on the job and what they did. For those of you who own heavy equipment, you can record which heavy equipment was utilized and actually burden that to the job. We can capture any incidents that took place, any meetings that occurred, and print out a full daily field report that has all that detail on it if you want it. All of these things tie into the project work center. This is kind of like a central location for a specific job if you're job driven. So in this case, I'm looking at a specific job. And basically, the reason behind this is I've got a list of things that I need that need my attention. We call this a hot list, and I can drill into these just by double clicking, and it takes me to the record that might need my approval. How it got on my hot list is just whoever did the data entry just checked off hot list, and that tells Master Builder to go ahead and assign it to the project hot list, and it therefore shows up in the work center. And you'll notice they're organized by record type. I can go ahead and filter this by type of record if I wanted. So on a really long duration job, you may want to just look at certain things, and we do give you the ability to do that. You also have the ability to see some job cost information here. And then lastly, I have the opportunity to do certain activities in the system if I wanted to. Now with the new release having the capability to do these process maps, you may elect just to work in here and instead do things like use the project hot list instead of using the work center. And this project hot list is basically like the work center, but it only shows us, you know, the actual hot list itself. So we have some flexibility there. We also do punch lists. And what's interesting about punch lists is the fact that you can not only create a list of items that need attention, but also track the dates that these things were discovered, notified, scheduled, completed, approved. So we have ample places to record all those mission critical dates related to your punch list. And we can even generate a walkthrough form for your super to walk the job with and actually get someone to sign off on. And once that is signed off, we could scan it and attach it to the record. And that brings me up to one more point before we get into the reporting, and that's the whole notion of alerts. Let's see, we got a question here. Okay. The whole notion of notifications. Master Builder has the capability to do automated notifications, system notifications, and these can be either emailed to you or show up on the dashboard. When you build these, and I'm just going to pull up this menu and go in here, we actually have what's called an alerts manager that will allow you to build particular warnings that you want to use, and it will be fed off the data. So like an example might be a punch list item that's overdue, just because I mentioned that particular screen. So we can actually build queries in here that either show up on your dashboard or are emailed to you. And that's another nice feature from a project management perspective. If you're balancing being in the field with being in the office, having some proactive warnings is always helpful. And those are user definable. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the more sophisticated job reports that ultimately we want to produce on this. I'm going to go into a couple here. I'm going to start with one of the more popular ones just because someone had asked about it before, which is a work in process, or what we call a bonding report. Because we're doing all these things in project management and accounting, we're now able to produce this work in process very quickly and easily with a mouse click. And again, with that drill down capability, if I wanted to interact with this information. And like I was mentioning earlier, I could drop that report if I wanted to right into a spreadsheet. And when I do that, it's going to bring in the formulas. So I can go in here and just work with this information, and you'll see that all those formulas are intact. So we can do that work in process. And if you'd like a copy of that, just simply ask your territory manager. We'll be happy to give you a copy of what that report looks like in detail. We can also do things now like a job summary report. And whether you want to organize it by division or subtotal it by division, or just look at it by cost code, we can quickly see where we're at on the job now, again, because our change orders are being recorded and our accounting group is entering costs. So now I don't need to wait for accounting to give me a report that might be in Excel that was hand entered and maybe not fully accurate. I can now get a real-time report that is fully accurate when I want it. And then one last item, for those of you who are also looking to truly interact with their reports. Whoop, let's see, I got one other question here. Is there a way to handle joint? Yes. Is there a way to handle joint payments? There is. When we go into the subcontract screen, first of all, we can go ahead and indicate if there is a joint pay. We do that at the vendor level and on the accounts payable level. So when we go to pay our vendors, and I think I've got a sample of it. Let me just oh, whoops, I'm running the checks. Sorry about that. There's where I meant to go. There we go. Right here. So I do have a sample of that. So you do have the capability to have a two-party check. We just would record me, Clark Supply, and the secondary contractor, and therefore we can track that actual invoice being a multiple party pay. When I drill into that invoice, here's where those secondary payees are listed and tracked. Hope that answers that for you. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show is the opportunity to also begin doing some cost to complete. So I showed some sample reports in here. You also have the ability to do cost to complete. So we actually can come in, bring in our budget, and just simply update that with our current costs from the accounting system. And then as you do your field inspection, you can come back in here and actually update the percent or cost that you believe is actually in place on the job. So you do have the ability to kind of override based on where you are, because of course there might be a delay on getting invoices into the office and that type of thing. So this will help you kind of forecast that by using your cost to complete, and then therefore give you your over and under and actually produce a report using that as well. So a lot of clients have to do that manually, and we're able to go ahead and leverage our fully integrated system to give you a much easier way to accomplish that task. And we can do the same thing for hours to complete. So for those of you who are a self-performing contractor, we can go through that same exercise for hours to complete. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. I've got just a few minutes. We've got a couple of good contractors. Let's see. Okay, can we, yeah, so can we generate a letter to the sub for a certificate of insurance? Yes, we can. Down in vendor documents, we can actually generate a predefined letter notifying the subs that their certificates of insurance are in fact expired. Here's just an example of it. I left the vendor blank, but you could pull this for a particular vendor or through a expiration date range. You know, like maybe I want to know everyone who expires in the next month. I could do that too. Good question. All right. Well, everyone, I want to thank everybody for their time today. If you guys have any other questions or would like to get a more detailed presentation of the software, we encourage you to give us a call and just simply ask for your territory manager. We're happy to help. Again, my name's Andrew Rashid, and I thank everyone for their attendance today. Have a great weekend.